Most beginners think improving in watercolor means painting more finished landscapes. But honestly, one of the fastest ways to improve is actually repeating one small skill multiple times. For example, this is how I practice pine trees. I painted the same pine tree 3 times. The first one helped me understand the basic shape, the second helped me improve my brush control, and by the third one, my strokes became much more natural and confident. Last two trees, I even experimented with snow capped pine trees to push the exercise a little further. And this is exactly how skill building works in watercolor. By painting one perfect artwork, but by repeating one subject enough times that your hand starts understanding it naturally. And once that happens, watercolors start feeling much less intimidating. Your brushstrokes become more confident, you stop overthinking every little detail, and slowly you begin understanding how water, pigment, and timing work together. That's when improvement actually starts happening. Second exercise is clouds, and honestly, this exercise taught me a lot about watercolor. It's actually been a while since I painted fluffy sunset clouds with watercolors, so honestly, it almost felt like I was painting them again as a beginner. And these failed attempts are honestly a little embarrassing to show, but I decided to keep them in the video anyway because this is what a real watercolor practice looks like. Important to get the right colors for the clouds, and I did get them right. In this first attempt, the colors look right, but the cloud shape felt off. In the second attempt, I finally got the colors and shape right, but the technique itself still didn't feel right. I painted both the clouds and the sky mostly wet on dry, which made the painting lose that soft atmospheric watercolor feel. What I should have done instead was build the clouds wet on wet first and then come back later with a few wet on dry details only where it's needed, or vice versa. I could have gone with wet on wet sky and then come back and add wet on dry clouds later. Attempt is by no means perfect, but by this point I had already learned so much from the previous failures. I now understand what needed to be painted first and what should come later. I understood which parts needed wet on wet technique and where wet on dry details would work better. I now understand the shapes of the clouds, the colors, the softness, the timing, all of it slowly started registering in my mind. And honestly, that understanding only came because I practiced the same subject multiple times and allowed myself to fail multiple times. This final attempt is still not a perfect sky by any means, but now I feel confident enough to paint it inside a larger landscape and make it look much closer to the reference image that I am trying to achieve. And I think this is the part many watercolor beginners don't realize. Good watercolor paintings are not created because someone magically painted perfectly on the first try. They are built on small repetitions, failed attempts, observation, and patience. And slowly, after enough repetitions, your hand, your mind will begin working together naturally. If you feel stuck with watercolor right now, maybe don't focus on creating perfect finished landscapes every day, but build one skill at a time. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching.